What a place to spend your Sunday mornings, or your Sunday evenings, if you're so inclined. As we just cross over the halfway point of the iRacing schedule onto one of iRacing's real free classics. I know that not everybody's a big fan of the Charlotte Roval, and we might be hearing some complaints later today, but people should underestimate this track at their absolute peril. Well, that fast oval is followed by a tight infield full of tricky elevation change and two of the death chicanes. You could definitely call them that in some way. Big curbs to hop over in these cars. They're very viable, and I think we're going to see a lot of dramatic moves and big action. The 5.3 KS here has led us to having 12 car feet. There are a couple more drivers in the other split today, but unfortunately it's split very close. The unfortunate line. I'm Howie Burroughs, and we're about to get kicking off with qualifying here at the Roval. I do love this place. I love driving it in the Mazda. Whenever the Mazdas come here, I farm it week in, week out. I did try and get this car around here though, and I wasn't really ready for the tight braking zones. It's a very, very difficult car to loop around this place. And with our 12 drivers, some of the best in the Skip Barber League this time, without many of the stragglers, it's going to be a very, very tight, tough competition. Adam Miles, I noticed, he is back, our highest iRacing driver, who doesn't quite make every week, and he's going to have to try and take down Tim Hendrickson, who returned to winner's row again yesterday in a very tricky and slightly controversial Mo Sport. Hey, no matter what, I think there will be fun. There will be fun had. Here's Tim Hendrickson running his lap right now as I make sure everything overlay wise is completely ready this time. We all make mistakes. That looks good to me. On board with Tim in just a second. You might think, if you haven't driven much of this track, although you probably have driven a lot of this track, it is one of iRacing's free classics, you might think that, oh, it's a lot of drafting around the big oval. This is just Daytona again, but they break it up heavily with some of these big bus stop chicanes. This track's a treat when it hits the NASCAR Cup Series schedule. Even if you don't watch the sport, I think a lot of fun just trying to loop these tricky cars around. I should just be able to get it on board around here. Well, we take a look at this actually. I don't think anyone's quite set their start time yet, but I need to double check that. Doesn't look like it. Adam Miles at 9.6k. Tim Hendrickson at 8.3. Sounds like it hasn't been terribly popular, so maybe my taste is bad, and I don't completely count that out. I love the middle. You go all the way up the hill and back down it. You're not quite delicate enough in handling your car. It tears you to shreds around there. I am a self-professed Roval fan, so unfortunately you have to deal with that possession of mine, although it's not quite a Daytona disappointment. I'm going to say that. It's not quite the pain of dealing with that giant speedway. In fact, I joke about seeing Daytona on here. It probably will end up here on some point. I do like to experiment with the roster a little bit, but I do think that will be a unique race in history. We just get the smaller one for now, as this should be Tim Hendrickson finishing his first lap. It's quite hard to get an off-track here. There's about 2 spots where it can realistically happen. It jumps over the sausage curbs. Love the way these cars are going to be doing that all day. He's got the first lap, a 31.2. Plenty of time to improve if my time watching is any suggestion. While we run through some of these laps, there are, I believe these, I don't believe these are right. I know these ones are right this time. I know these ones are right, as because I checked them before the race. Tim Hendrickson dropped off winner's circle for a few weeks in a row, but he is already back. And has a nice 20-point gap over Neil Gardner. But Adam Miles is back in the lobby, and Adam Miles, our strongest iRacing driver, only doesn't bother the top of these standings because he doesn't show every single week. Yeah, he's welcome to suit himself on that one, but he's a terrifyingly fast driver, And he's going to make this top 3 battle that we usually see between Hendrickson, Gardner, and Chenoweth possibly turn into a top 4 at the end of today. More times have flown in. Daniel Atoga set the fastest so far at a 31.0. I think a 30 is possible. And we're going to see it out of Adam Miles. That is a 30.9. Very good lap from Atoga. Puts him on the board. I don't know if I can just get the lap. Sometimes this is painfully wrong. Doesn't look like it is this time. This time it's very wrong if it's miles off. He could be threatening to go even faster around the turn, but he was very fast at Canadian Tire Motorsport. Got himself close. Tim Hendrickson sneaks in for the number 2, but it's still not a 30. Toga keeps it together. It's predicted to be a 30. I don't think it was an improvement. Here's Neil Gardner, who we haven't seen actually at the top in a couple of weeks. He's had a few disappointing outings in the field as Mark Beckhouse gets our second 30 on the board. I am interested to see how much the draft train dynamic keeps up around here among these drivers, because you do get a nice draft around the oval. I wonder if that lap's going to be illegal with the way he's crossed over onto the grass. It doesn't look like it is. Adam Miles looks like he's going to claim our pole position. He comes around to claim one more lap. I don't know if they're being counted anymore. They are, and that was faster. It's a 30.7. Just show off for the sake of it, why don't you? We have a starting grid, and we need to run through that as quickly as we possibly can. Because this time, qualifying was over in a heartbeat. Adam Miles returns to mark his way at the front of the grid, and he's next to Mark Beckhouse, a driver that hasn't usually challenged for the championship. Right up between him and Tim Hendrickson, behind with Daniel Atoga setting another pretty fast lap. Ryan Chenoweth and Jeff Randall take up 5th and 6th, 2 rows behind, followed by Neil Gardner and Jerne Zorek. They're going to have to make up the road again on their way up the field. Joachim Osbeck and Peter Sopanki are in 9th and 10th. We only have 12 cars on today's grid, as my overlay doesn't want to show me the last 2 very well. There it is. It's Chris Wayne and Wolfgang Halper. Only 12. There's 12 in the other split. It was a pretty brutal split, to be honest. I think we have 24 sign-ups, and it went exactly 2 ways. I hate to see that. I would love to just see a full-sized grid. Hey, not everything I love turns out to be the popular stuff in the world. No matter what, I'm still hoping for a race we can be proud of here, and then that makes up for everything. We know spotters on, although we know live spotters on the field today, but this is where they would stand if they were spotting for the NASCAR Cup Series up here. It's a track I've really got to see. Adam Miles loaded into the front. Only one more to make, Neil Gardner keeping us waiting. And we'll have a race due any moment now. Beckhouse hasn't made a mark in the championship. And there's quite a few drivers to punch through for Hendrickson to claim another win. But we go green right now to find out what happens indeed. This first turn, very tight heartburn turn. I see a decent launch there from the 2 of Hendrickson. I wondered if he was going to make the move. Not quite. Everybody running single file through that first set of corners as we approach the infield all the way down the hill. Very nice unsettling of the car. We're going to see a little bit of slip already. I see both old kids' cars right at the back. And go all the way wide down this. Not really a back straight, but it's the longest infield straight we have. And then up the hill. This could cause some controversy later on today. But everybody's keeping it very, very measured into the first couple turns around here. As we approach the oval, there will be some powerful draft in these cars. They are going to slingshot off each other just a little bit. There's enough space to send 3 wide around here in cars this small. Mark Glickhouse is tucked in right behind. He might try and get it done for the back stretch, but it's difficult Tim Hendrickson side by side as well with Daniel Toga looking to try and make his move. That gap's been sorted a little bit out between the first and the fourth. I see behind there Jeff Randall goes a bit wide, and in fact around plenty of cars around the Destruction Derby was indeed promised. That's Mark Beckhouse backwards, and Daniel Toga has taken a bit of a knock to the wing. Is everyone else okay? I think Adam Miles has completely gotten away with it. And further behind, Tim Hendrickson and Brian Chinaweth made that top three. That's a meatball for Randall, Beckhouse and a Toga. Oh, unfortunately this time the predictions have proven themselves just a little bit true. I'd like to catch quite how it happened. I think it might have just been a spin. The very, very tough braking into the bus stop chicane here. We're on board with Mark Beckhouse, who overlay thinks the first ones went around. No, just a bit slow. Gone into the back off there by Hendrickson, and then that way everybody is sort of just collected. Could have been a bigger devastation. It's unfortunate that it happened the way that it did. We have a race on. Drivers have taken their fast repairs. And we're running again with Tim Hendrickson right on the back of Adam Miles, and Ryan Chinaweth straight up, back in front, where he's wanted to be for a few weeks. As I see more tyre smoke behind, I don't want to say something else has happened. I see Zerne Zorek down on the infield. It may have just been a self-spin, though, as I don't see any other victims or any other damage. Adam Miles looking to run some excellent laps now in the cleanest air possible. Tim and Ryan behind. Play draft train with Neil Gardner. Hendrickson has essentially completely gone away with it, despite Adam Miles' fantastic launch off the start. Is Sopanki and Osbeck side by side. Osbeck has the lead into our final chicane on the start finish. That one's nasty. That one is easy to skip. It's easy to make a big mistake on, and it's very easy to send yourself into the abyss. But both of those green and yellow cars, hopefully both of which I got the designs for downloaded correctly, are going to have to work to push up quite a bit. At least they're doing better than their teammate Randall indeed. Ryan Chinaweth, followed by Neil Gardner, about to join the oval portion. If you want to get a good look at how big the draft is, big aero cars can push all the way up to the wall. I'm not sure if that's effective in very slippy, very low aero machines. A 1, a 2, and a 3. Don't see anyone quite getting close enough, although Neil Gardner is closing. Probably by not a significant enough margin as we file through this chicane. These slippy cars are going to lose their mind just a little bit through here, I think. We've seen one or two have these small mistakes already. It was just a little instant, really, between Hendrickson and Beckhouse to send him to the back. Just one of those accidents that happens when you send 12 cars through a tight braking chicane. Might not be the last, unfortunately, today. I don't love death. I don't love, actually, no one really loves seeing death, but I don't love what we in iRacing call death either. The small mistakes and the small cuts that make it up. Adam Miles is pulling out the fastest laps by a long shot right now. He's going to be a real threat to manage. There might have to be some working together to get back up the field. 2.5 seconds to gap right now. It will be continuously checked, and it might just slip down when we least expect it, or Adam will come out to prove his supremacy once again. He just like me has woken up at 10 a.m. to be there. Wolfgang Halper snuck past Daniel Toga behind. I'm getting these things confused. Last time I ever do it, it's Zerne Zorek ahead of Wolfgang Halper indeed. I was thinking that doesn't look like Jeff Randall's car. I've seen Jeff Randall's car. He's here every single week. Every single week I've been doing this, and I don't even learn every car design perfectly. But I do know these up in the top 4 very, very well, and they are playing the classic chase that we've seen week after week after week, waiting very much to make their move. A dive bomb is not advisable in these Formula cars, and they don't really like the heavy brakes. Side by side, Chris Wayne and Peter Sapanki just a bit further back. Sapanki on the inside. Quite. Chris Wayne's out further ahead. I swear I just heard something break and buckle. And in iRacing, and not in real life. I don't think so. I think the suspension is giving me the crazy suspension around this track, and the way it gets stressed is giving me stress palpitations. I keep thinking someone's wrecked their car horrifically into the catch fence. This 1-2-3 hasn't moved for a while, but Adam, while he's extended the gap a bit, he hasn't done it overwhelmingly. He's gained a 10th, which he'd like to see. But working together around here is tricky, because despite being on an oval, it's not truly a draft track. All of your dreams of a draft are well and truly given up. The moment you hit the chicane, but they can see Adam ahead. It certainly helps hopping those chicanes. Oh, that's the noise I heard. I don't know if you heard it, but there is a little scrape against the wall, and that causes this little cracking noise. But I think these cars just about get away with that. Rubbins Racing, is that what they say around these places? Alongside, if you went first, you're last. I love the way they swing through this chicane. Still no movement in our top four. Sapanki and Wayne are having one of the most interesting battles here so far. It is Sapanki behind in the 11 and Wayne up ahead in the 8. Still a chase right now. You have to be quite brave to force the issue around this track. You have to be very, very courageous to truly just get behind someone and say, that chicane is mine. But the moves definitely can be made. The Cup Series proves that big moves can be made here, and cars that like beating and banging can really push others around out here. And I think we saw enough beating and banging last week to prove that some people will do it when they're back and up against the wall. Bit of a slip out from the rear there by Jone Zorek. He loses a bit of pace. Not as much as Sapanki's actually lost on Wayne up ahead. So I see Jone Zorek making up pace. Both going to hug the wall. I wonder if Jone's going to go for it. Not quite. Looks both ways. Thinks better of it. And the running order resumes as it stands. Still not seeing immense boldness and bravery from this top three, which means I might actually be able to go and quickly check what happened to Jone Zorek, because there's another fastest lap. It's from Adam Miles again. 30.3. It's a 29 possible today. The tyres are finally loaded up. Want to catch what happened to Jone Zorek on the infield here earlier on in the race. I think he just made a slight misjudge as he headed up. Oh, that is a bit of a collection of the car up ahead, actually. Very bad luck indeed to be caught up in that one. Jone Zorek now. So fumble around with trash. Jone Zorek is now sitting up in 7th place. He's chasing down Wolfgang and Peter. As Wolfgang Albert gets past Peter Sapanki now on his way around, I think this pack has really sort of broken apart of the teammates up here. I have a feeling the gap has quite significantly grown as we bring back the timing, and indeed Sapanki has fallen back by 100,000 miles. I think there was a mistake that would have caused this one. That is Jone Zorek behind. I think I know how this is going to end, unfortunately, and I'm not liking where it's about to go. Two cars hard braking. Not quite an incident, but a big lockup on the left-hand side saw Peter Sapanki drop back in place. Adam Miles is threatening us all with a good time, otherwise known as another fastest lap. Now with a 30.5 one, I totally think the 29 is possible. And most importantly, I don't see working together really benefiting these guys very much. They haven't been able to make up ground. Adam is an absolute speed demon whenever he musters up the courage to hit the field. He is possibly, I mean, they don't make you a community manager if you're not very knowledgeable in the cars that you run. And on the topic of his scheduling, I think we have a very special treat next week. It's Nürburgring week on the Nordschleife. And those who know that track are going to pull out some absurd gaps. I wonder if Nordschleife farmers will show up and disrupt our usual field. It will be a thrill this time next week. That's the track that got away from me. I never learned as a kid how to drive it. Now I just guess my way around it. But it's always fun to bring slow cars around that thing. Dot in a hoe could be spectacular. Here, same time on the channel next week. Alongside, tomorrow, bringing the FF1600s to an even trickier track, Cadwell Park, is basically the British Nürburgring. It's Nürburgring week. Basically, we've got small Nürburgring on the 1600s this time tomorrow at 8:45 PM, and then we have big Nürburgring on the Sunday. All on this channel, though. So stay tuned for more and subscribe on Twitch or follow on YouTube. Follow on Twitch, subscribe on YouTube. That's why it's right back, reverse it. Don't even have Twitch subs yet. Top 3 not moving. Going to take a little scan down the grid to see anything else that's going on. His Joseph Osbeck in 5th. Jerde Zorek made up places in 8th with Chris Wayne just behind. Here's Peter Sapanki. Shouldn't have chosen static for this cam. But there's Peter Sapanki, and that's Wolfgang Halper. Just a little bit behind. Daniel Otoga was never quite able to recover. Neither was Jeff Randall or Mark Beckhouse. Still running at their laps right now, and maybe, especially on Mark's case, for a front row, just hoping this race is due to end for them soon. Maybe this is a track for cars with fenders, okay? Because I know cars with fenders love beating and banging their way through here. It's brilliant. But it has been pretty slow and pretty measured. It's a 29.9 from Adam Miles. The prophecy has come true. We're seeing 29 second laps. How much quicker can Adam make it go? And when will one of these drivers make their move? Because I sure as hell know that on the final lap with the white flag, we're not going to see peace on Earth quite like this, and things could transform very, very quickly. Tim Hendrickson will enjoy beating his eternal championship rivals, though. Gets a smaller gap for his P2, but Adam Miles, unless he shows up every week, isn't really a contender for that number 1 place, and Tim has consistency, and he's been consistent this week. And he'll be very much enjoying extending that lead as it stands, but things as they stand rarely live as they seem. And with it'll be 5 laps to go next time Adam crosses the line, time flies, even if you're not quite having fun. Although, you know, maybe the Charlotte will increase until morale improves. If you want to be too pessimistic, don't you worry, we'll find a way to improve your morale, whether it's through hard beatings or the sweet, sweet embrace of those bus stop chicanes. It is now 5 to go. A little bit of tyre smoke kicked up there by Tim Hendrickson. Keeping this car on the track for all 15 of these laps, whether or not the racing is spectacular, is a real challenge. Let me tell you that, like, for as easy as it looks, this track is relentless and it is brutal. This elevation change unsettles essentially every car without significant error. Like, you have to really modulate and manage the throttle, manage the slip as you come back down, and if you make a mistake here, the wall will greet you very, very kindly. I think most people are looking out for their own self-preservation around one of America's most surprisingly difficult road courses. Maybe that accusation will get me mobbed at the end of today. I think it's difficult. Hard braking, these cars hate it when you do that. Hop over the curbs. And you come back around. I noticed that Daniel Atoga has made up a place. He is back running. He's pushed past Wolfgang Halper. And Peter Sabanke too far back. There was a big move made going out into the oval again. Notice that people are definitely scared descending into the Death Chicanes. It's Death Valley! 4 to go. That camera almost gives these cars a supreme sense of speed. Well, they'd be very fast in person. Love to see some of these things in person, and trust me, I mean, I feel like Legends cars are fast in real life, so it certainly would feel fast. I notice his top two kind of getting away a little bit from Neil Gardner behind. Is he biding his time, or is the driving getting more aggressive as it goes on? 3.8 seconds down the road for Adam Miles. It will take a tremendous mistake one doing this, and does not make those very, very often. Toga has made his place up off Sapanki, doing his absolute best to make up places, and Chenoweth is... I've seen Chenoweth a bit as a driver who has very much bided his time throughout this championship. He's very fast, very consistently fast, but he's not the driver that is making the boldest moves until the very, very end. Some of these drivers are absolutely relentless from light to end, whereas Chenoweth will often just sit there. And he'll wait for it, and he'll wait for it, and then when it kicks off on the final lap, he'll be there, and he gets points. But I think he's the one who wants to make the move today. 3 to go. Adam Miles, another fastest. It's a 29.8. Bets on Adam going faster. We've not shown enough of him on the camera because I've been waiting for something to evolve elsewhere, but give him a little bit of TV time from our spotter cam. Not quite what we were looking for. He is fast, and he is strong, and he has been purely dominant here. The gap doesn't look overwhelming, but he's been doing nothing but extending and extending it every single lap of the day, and he only has 3 more times past the start-finish straight to lock himself in as truly our most dominant driver. Tim Hendrickson wishes. Hendrickson does wish. How do I get that fast? Certainly not in the setups in these cars. These cars pretty much run one setup. Mark Beckhouse looks like he's stopped into the pits and looks like he might be done for the day. Up on the floor. I think Ryan will send it in a lap or 2. Don't go anywhere at all. 2 to go. When he hits start-finish again. And he's inching closer and closer and closer to doing something that either he'll regret or he'll be very, very happy with as he sort of moves his way out of view. I wonder if the 2018 Roval would have been better. If they run a 2018 version, runs a very, very, very fast back stretch. Where the little chicane, you sort of skip it a little bit and run nearly at full speed. I don't like driving it nearly as much as that's a mistake going wide there by Tim Hendrickson. He is starting to make mistakes, and Ryan is right on the rear. He can't quite take advantage of that one. But I'm seeing Tim starting to slip, and Ryan saw that and absolutely eagerly awaited it in his arms. We're approaching the white flag, and when the white flag goes out on Sunday, absolutely anything goes. Tries the high line. Not going to be as fast if you don't have the draft already. Tries to assert dominance near the wall. Cut off there by Tim Hendrickson. Neil Gardner's best hope is that there's an incident to throw him into P2 right now. Not too much. position change today, but sometimes a game of chess is more interesting than a draft train trading places. Game of checkers. Or maybe I'm trying to justify my favourite track not delivering today. Fastest lap again by Adam Miles is an 8:35. I wonder if he'll be able to do even better. As Ryan Chenoweth has one more chance to try and unseat Tim Hendrickson here from the second place. He hasn't made the same mistake he's made on prior laps. Not too many angles to send it here without getting a very, very strongly worded message at the end of the race. A very upset one, a very annoyed one. You don't want to take out one of the fastest drivers with a bonehead move. We approach the oval. I'll make sure to catch Adam Miles as he crosses the line to win this race because he deserves the commendation for it. But right on the rear wing, it's about whether there's even a move to make. I don't think there is a move to make today. I think we've ended today very much like the way we've started it. As Adam Miles in P1 comes in to cross the line on a dominant victory we didn't see much of. I see Chenoweth behind. He is actually going to go for it. I can't lose this. Both cars slip. Little bit of not quite contact. Hendrickson gets away with it. Adam Miles crosses the line as our winner. Almost a move. Almost a move by Ryan. Glad it doesn't quite end in tears. Has been a slow one today. These cars not quite willing to make contact. I mean, I wouldn't beg them to make contact, I'll tell you that. But it has led to not many of these big moves. Hey, a day like this might be better than a day of drama. People are still recovering from most of them. They got chain killed over and over again. So, you know, maybe this is what we need. We need a cleansing race that we know can encourage peace and kumbaya in the community. Or maybe I'm just thinking way, way too weirdly about it all. Let's just get some race results up on the screen as it stands, because that sure is a race in the books. That sure was one of the races of all time, and it's led by Adam Miles. Absolutely dominant performance at the front. Behind him, Tim Hendrickson and Ryan Chenoweth almost making the move happen into the final chicane. Neil Gardner, head of Jurgen Osbeck, Rene Zorek, Chris Wayne, Daniel Toga, who slipped out quite early on after an incident, Peter Sapanki, Wolfgang Halper, with Jeff Randall finishing last of those at finish, alongside Mark Beckhouse, who didn't quite finish that race. And Tim Hendrickson will extend a significant lead on the championship standings. Adam Miles claims a lot of points, but he's not quite here every week to show it. Tim Hendrickson is really taking control now. But I think the Nordschleifer is going to change things up massively. We're going to see, as Beatrice calls them, the Nords nerds. And that could be a race that's anyone's game if you know the track better than you know the car. Love to see as many people as possible show up for it. And I hope to see you again next week. Whether or not today was really a thrill ride or not. Hey, the thing about racing is, sometimes a day ain't as exciting. But you know that the good ones will come. When the good ones come, it's always worth being around. I've been Howie Burroughs, and we got on Monday we got the FF1600s, and we have plenty more Skip Barber coming in for the rest of the season. Stay tuned. This community do always bring a lot of fun, and make sure wishing you a great week in iRacing and in real life up ahead. I didn't mean for that to be like a sign off every week, but I do stream on Sunday, so it makes sense from my perspective.